So, okay, so I'll begin. I'll begin with your introduction right now. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to Youth Questions. Today we have a very renowned and veteran Indian politician from Trinamool Congress. We have Professor Saugata Roy joining us. He has been 5 times member of Legislative Assembly from West Bengal, presently from Damdam constituency. He has been earlier elected from Alipur 3 terms, Dakuria and Bangao. He has also been the Union Minister of State for Petroleum in the Charan Singh Ministry and Union Minister of State for Urban Development in UPA2 Ministry 2019 to 2012. Alongside, he is presently a member of some of the very important Hello. I apologize the interruption because of the network issues that we are facing. So today we have the Indian politician, Professor Saugata Roy. He is a veteran politician since past 6 decades, and we'd like to welcome him on Digital Parliament Youth Questions. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, you have been in politics since 1960s. How has the governance evolved over a period of 6 decades, and what has been your journey?
No, things have changed in the last time, in the time I joined politics. When I joined politics, India was in a one-party dominant system. There was a Congress party which ruled at the center and the state. But while I was in politics, the states and the center started to have parties run by different governments. So the push and pull on the administration became different. The center and states had different perceptions of how things should be done. And different states had different governments. So the concept of governance has evolved in the sense that now we're trying to find a mean in which different parties can rule at the center states and different parties can rule in different states. Still carry on the basic task of development. Still some national programs could be taken up provided there is the will on both sides. So things have changed very much since I joined politics.
So what was the reason that you joined politics, and what was the turning point? And who was your guiding light at that time?
No, actually, I started my politics from my student days. It's a college, and we had a very strong leftist union there. I felt that they're using strong arm methods. They were trying to force people into joining them. So I started opposing them. That's how my political journey started. Then I joined the Congress Students' Wing, which was led by Priyaranjan Das Munshi, who was a former minister who passed away. He was my mentor. He showed me the way. And it was because of him that I stayed in politics. I strayed away from politics for about 2 years when I joined a job with the bank. But he persuaded me to come back to politics, and I've been in politics ever since. So that was the turning point. The Marxist or the leftist or the Naxalite depredations, their use of strong arm methods. That was the turning.
So navigating from that genre to this genre, there were many difficult terrains that you must have to pass through. So any learning lessons for us? And what were the challenges?
Politics is a hardball game, in the sense that you win some, you lose some. I was in the organization till 1977. In 1977, at the age of 30, I became a member of Lok Sabha. But then I lost in 80. For 7 years, I was out of either parliament or assembly. Then with Priyaranjan Das Munshi's help, I came back to the legislature. I stayed there for 22 years till I came to Lok Sabha. I've been in Lok Sabha for the last 11 years now. So the thing is not to give up. And you must have a basic desire to do something for the people. Politics is not just like a profession. You may be out in the woods, or you may be in top power. But your basic intention of serving the people must remain, which will sustain you through difficulty.
Sir, the municipal elections in Bengal are coming next year. What is a message that you would like to give, and how can youth be a part of TMC? At your times, we could have joined from the student days, but the times are very different right now. So how can youth be a part of this?
It's a problem because see, municipal election in most municipalities, TMC has majority of councillors were elected. Now they have built up some sort of a base for themselves. They wouldn't like to leave that. So to accommodate youth in their place is going to be difficult. But ultimately, Mamata Banerjee, who's the leader of our party, will have to take a call on that. One good idea would be to retire at least 33% of the current income. That would open the door for the. I will suggest it to her as and when the time comes. Now, it seems that municipal elections will not be held before assembly elections. In the current pandemic situation, it will be difficult to hold municipal.
Harsha, unmute yourself. Harsha, unmute.
So thank you, sir. So what kind of changes would TMC like to bring in the new era in the through municipal corporation elections? What changes do you foresee?
No, we must make municipalities more participative. You know, in the constitutional amendment that was brought, there's this concept of ward committees. That is, development in an area will not be decided by the councillor alone or the chairman or mayor alone. The local people will have a chance to participate in that. We must make the ward committees more effective. That is the new change that we can.
Sir, TMC party chief is a woman leader, and she really encourages other women to join politics. She's an inspiration to all of us. What is your take on women in politics and steps that we as a society should take to encourage the same?
No, A is that TMC as a party is all for women's reservation in assembly and parliament. There is already women's reservation in the panchayats and the municipality. Now, till that is done, our party is trying to accommodate more and more women in assembly and parliament nominations. Already we have several women in our party in Lok Sabha, and this trend will continue. Even in assembly, will give a sufficient number of women nominations.
Okay. What are your thoughts on government handling the pandemic, and what have been the initiatives taken by your good self?
No, A is in our state, the pandemic started. We had no infrastructure for tackling, and we did not have dedicated COVID hospitals. We did not have enough facilities for testing. In the last 6 months, the state government has built up a structure to fight COVID. There are many dedicated COVID hospitals have been set up. Private hospitals have been encouraged and prodded. We have whole COVID blocks. Number of tests have also gone up. In a new concept, we are setting up we have set up safe homes in many municipalities and panchayats. These are just short of hospitals where people can be kept in. COVID patients can be kept in isolation so that they do not infect others. And it has proved to be quite successful. It's being copied in other states. I personally have taken an active interest in fighting COVID. One job is to sanitize the different areas, build containment zones where COVID patients are there. The other job is to get COVID patients admitted. The state government has set up a mechanism in which anybody testing COVID positive can approach the health department of the state so that seats could be found for them in government hospitals. Also for private hospitals, our state government has set up a commission to oversee the expenditure for COVID patients. I think we've done fairly well as far as tackling COVID is concerned, but still it is not under control, to our dismay. Till the vaccine comes, we shall all be groping in that.
I agree, sir. Earlier this year, Delhi and the country was jolted by NRC and CAA. Now that it is being implemented, what steps would you advise the government to make it more inclusive and righteous?
Now, senior question, we are against NRC and CAA. Both are divisive. government passed a citizenship amendment bill which leaves out Muslims from its purview, and hence it's divisive and unconstitutional. In our state, we will not encourage the implementation of the CA. And the law as it is divisive, so you can't make it inclusive. Now, the ruling party at the center had promised scheduled caste people from Bangladesh who are called Matuas. The ruling party had promised that they would be given citizenship. They've not been given citizenship yet. How they will tackle the problem is their business, their baby. We are opposed to NRC and CA as such. There is no necessity of NRC or CA.
Okay. Sir, we are a CSR-based institution, and we would like to understand what are the PPP-based projects or CSR-based projects that have been implemented in your area or in your state in association with the corporates.
I would say this, that the corporates in my state at least, I don't see the corporates having done a lot for social improvement. Corporates generally spend their money in areas where they have factories, manufacturing facilities. And the public sector corporates, they are spending money according to the minister's wishes or whims. I do not see that the CSR has done a big change in people. I've seen during my parliamentary committees that many corporates have claimed that they've set up good hospitals, good schools with CSR. But I have personally not seen any such big effort. It's a limited effort, and that too not a universal effort, limited effort.
Sir, in the times that we live in, digitization is the new norm. Platforms such as ours and many others which are there, what kind of features do you all as political leaders see, and what do you see the future of platforms like these?
I see that the future is for such platforms. Now everybody's schools are being conducted online. Courts are conducted online. So this is more so because online is a contactless contact. I am old and somewhat old-fashioned. I'm not very familiar with digital transactions. I can't even make a payment in digital mode. I think that this is the future. You should catch hold of old people like me and give them urgent training so that we can prepare for the coming till we live, so that we can be digital friendly. You
So
take it as part of your work.
It would be our honor to do that. It would be a sheer honor for us to do that. Sir, what kind of political legacy would you like to leave back, and what would you like to be remembered for?
I would like to be remembered as a person who tried his best, honestly, to serve the people in all areas where one had the opportunity. And I'd like to do it till my last day, not retire. I'd like to work for the people in any field. I'm an urban man. I've earlier worked in the trade union field. I've worked in the slums and bastis. I've worked for literacy for the working class. I've worked against Mafia Raj in industrial areas. So this is the work I have done. I want to continue the same. I wish as a rural man, India is largely rural. As a rural man, I would have been able to vote for the country. That is what it is.
Wonderful, sir. How do you see TMC shaping the future of India? What role do you see your party playing? What is the constructive role that you see that it will play?
No, TMC is a party which is wedded to development of Bengal in the first place. TMC nationally, like our nation, to continue to be a democratic and secular nation and participate in nation building. They're against any parochialism, communalism, or some ideology. We want the country to remain united, go on the path of development. Only thing that we do not believe that development can be achieved by capitalists. Development must basically touch the people, and TMC would like to progress in that manner.
Wonderful, sir. May I request my panelists to also ask the questions? Dr. Upadhyaya, would you like to?
Namaskar, sir. See, the times are changing very fast now. I belong to Himachal Pradesh. And what we see here is, like say, we never had a problem of labor and other things. Now we have lot of problems, like you don't get labor now to work in a house. Even if you ask people to work for, they are so much used to free things, like getting ration and all, that agriculture is suffering now. In these changing times, what will be your advice to people like us who work in the field? What should we do? How should we tackle this fast change which is happening now? Is it good or is it bad?
Could you please repeat the question?
Sir, what is happening now?
Sound is breaking.
Times are changing very fast now. And things are moving very fast. Like say in Himachal, where we used to supply labor outside, now we don't have labor to work on our farms. So in the changing times, how do we cope up? Is it good or is it bad?
No, see, India is one country. So people travel to outside their states for earning a livelihood, nothing wrong with it. But we must take more care about the welfare of the migrant workers. But you see, migrant workers have the problem, as you saw in the initial phases of the pandemic, how migrant workers suffered, how they had to trudge on foot to go back to their home state or their village home. So we must take more care of the migrant labor who are really not in a position to earn enough in their state. We must help them to earn better and live a better life.
But as a political party or as a government, what should government do really? Because what we found when the migration happened, especially for Bihar and UP migrants, they could not respond to the need as such. I think
the central government could not do much. The central government, many economists suggested to them that please give a cash toll to all the migrant labor. They did not. Later, some states and the center also started supplying free ration. But ultimately, the intention should be to build up economy so that people don't have to travel outside their state for need, especially manual
sir, what should we do? Like this, a lot of these people are back in villages now. So villages where agriculture is always already overcrowded, how do these people find their livelihood in these circumstances now?
The government must subsidize them. One idea is they're already getting work under the 100-day scheme, that is MGNRGA.
Okay.
Till they can situation improve so that they can go back to where they were working, they should be given support under NRGA. In the present state of the economy, what more can you do? And I think that still the migrant labor, they should be given a cash subsidy of 10,000 rupees per head so that they can sustain, and when they spend that money, the economy will also revive.
Sure, sir.
Excellent. May I request, thank you, Dr. Upadhyay, for the question. May I request Charulata to please join us?
Yes. Good
You
evening,
are
sir.
Harsha.
I am Harsha. She's Charulata.
Now she's.
Yeah.
Sir, my question is like you are one of the oldest politician in the country, and you have seen a lot of economical ups and downs, and no doubt you're one of the maximum experienced politician. So
Could you
what?
repeat the question, please?
Yeah, yes, sir. So you are one of the oldest politician in the country.
Yes, I am very old.
And no doubt one of the maximum experienced politician.
Huh?
So you might have seen a lot of economical ups and downs. So what was the best time when in terms of economical development, and worst time in your
Do
state?
not use the word economic. The word is economic. Economic development. Economic
Yes,
up and down. Economical means where you save money. So, economic.
Okay. Yeah,
No,
sorry.
India has had good, yes. In fact, in the middle of the, say, between 2005 to 2008, we had very good time. Rate of growth was very high. Then in the early 70s, 71, 72, when agricultural production went up, the economy was very good. In fact, before the pandemic, there were signs that the economy would improve. If the government had not done demonetization or implemented the GST in haste, economic situation would be good. But of course, the pandemic has changed everything. What can we do?
So
Thank
sir, according to you, I have, yeah. So according to you, is the corona, is there anything like corona ever happened, like the loss which we dealt with ever happened before, or is it new for you as well?
No. In my lifetime, corona has not happened. I have not seen a pandemic. But I'm
Not
told
loss
that
we dealt
there
with.
was a Spanish flu in 1919, just after the First World War, in which 5 crore people died. Here in Corona, about 1 crore 20 lakh people have died. So that was much worse. In those days, no medicine, no hospital, nothing was available. But this Corona is pretty bad. And mainly you see the most advanced industrial countries have been affected. You'd know that in India earlier, there used to be plague epidemics. In 1898, there was a plague epidemic. Swami Vivekananda was alive then. And he instructed Sister Nivedita and all his disciples to work for the plague victims. The British used to forcibly take people away and give them plague injections. So Vivekananda told his followers to go and persuade people so that this force was not used. They could explain to people to remain clean, fight against plague and all that. So pandemics do happen time and again, but this time this corona has been real bad. Charulata has no more questions. Harsha, somebody else. Slowly release me a lot of.
No, we have Ninad with us. Ninad, would you have your question?
Yes. Good evening, sir. It was nice listening to your views and experience thoughts. Sir, now that as we rightly discussed, the schools are running online, and probably only the privileged schools are running online, but the underprivileged schools are still closed. They do not have any technical aid from the government. Is there, I mean, I don't know what is making them deprived of education as they are sitting home and doing nothing. We can only imagine how much educational loss they are facing right now. So my question to you is, what is it that the government should do to cope up with this loss? They have already wasted half of their academic year.
It's true, it's a big problem. What you're talking is big problem. The
Yes.
government cannot overnight build up a digital infrastructure. Cost of a smartphone is 8,000 to 10,000. Government
Yes,
cannot overnight give smartphones to everybody.
Yes.
They have to try, and then we have to pull people so that together they can have digital education.
yes,
Now, for participate in this digital parliament,
Hmm.
I'm taking the help of the computer,
Hmm.
the young daughter of my PA. So, who can buy a computer? A laptop costs 30,000 rupees. So it's
Yes.
costly.
I know.
Now, with a smartphone
Hmm.
and a Zoom
Hmm.
app, you can contribute. But here I can see Harsha's face much better because I'm on a computer. So these problems are there. You can't, just because of pandemic, if you try and build an infrastructure, then after the pandemic is over, it will not be so useful anymore. Any government has to consider all these things. But the central government should have been more alert in this matter, especially in matter of giving education to me.
That is true, sir. Absolutely true. Because I believe everybody has the right to education, and
Yes.
that's what we have been believing. As my organization has been constantly working for the underprivileged to giving them education and technology solutions. So right now, what we are doing is we are trying to serve as much as underprivileged education schools as possible, as we have developed our own application for them to run it online. So like they can have their assessments, they can conduct exams online, they can connect with the students online. So we are
Must
giving
help people.
yes. So we are giving training to teachers also as to how they can create assignments online, and uh, everything with respect to video lectures and assessment assignments and everything. So I know it is a bit late also, but it took us also a time to get along with the after effects of COVID-19 and come up with this very solution of our own, to support underprivileged schools especially.
Why underprivileged school? I told Harsha that I need digital training myself. I asked her to help me.
That's
So it's
very,
most necessary, digital.
that's
So
very
one of
generous.
my colleagues
But
from
my
Kolkata,
idea is that if you could have a laptop in a school,
Yes,
then
sir.
on the screen of the laptop, 10, 20 people can see the laptop and react. You must,
Yes.
or you can arrange to have the laptop image projected on a screen so that people can. We must find out ways in which people
Sir,
can be reached through digital means.
yes, sir. But actually, right now the most least available device is a mobile phone. You can do all those things which you could do on laptop on a mobile phone, and
No
that is the
mobile
most
phone.
reachable thing. So yeah, so that is our goal right now, to connect as much as students to the teachers through phone, and let's see how it works.
It has to. It has to.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so
And
much.
mobile phones must become cheaper. Now
Yes.
we use all imported phones,
Mm, mm.
Samsung and Oppo and whatnot.
Yes, yes.
Must manufacture digital phones in the country,
Mm.
smartphones in the country, make them cheaper. We must find out ways of doing these things. I'm sure young people like you will do this.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your wishes.
So, Harsha, are we through?
Harsha, you're on mute.
Sir, any final message to all of us? And when can my colleague from Kolkata come and train
Huh?
you on the mobile payment things? When can my colleague from Kolkata can come to you and give you a little brief about how to digitize the mobile payments and
Yes,
other?
yes, anytime. Anytime. I'm in Delhi today. I'll be back tomorrow. And anytime, your colleague can ring me up and come and give me. I have downloaded a Paytm and other things, but I find problem.
We will organize that for you. So once
Please,
you're back in
please,
Kolkata,
please
we'll
do
do
that.
that.
I'll
Yeah.
be most obliged. Give me
Absolutely.
digital training periodically.
It will be our honor, sir. Any final message to all of us, all the youth who are listening?
Ours is a great country, big country, populous country. Whatever the politics, we must do to improve the lot of the people in the country, especially in these pandemic times. We must look after the interest of our less fortunate brethren. In my own constituency, I've been running, and our supporters have been running food camps for people. Some places we're giving them rations. In some other places, we're giving them cooked food. Some places vegetables. So whatever we can, because many people have lost jobs. The assessment is that 4 crore more people have lost their jobs during the. Whatever we do, especially young people, they must understand that having own career or a comfortable life is not the last. There are some obligation, everybody has some obligation to society. Those who are educated have more obligations to society because they're more privileged. I hope that all the young people like you, they will dedicate themselves. All my best wishes. I had the fear of the digital media. So I was rather scared, but Harsha has been most disarming. You give me a little more confidence in myself that I can do it also. And my PA's 16-year-old daughter, 18-year-old daughter taught me how to go on Zoom in. Thank you.
It is an honor and a pleasure to have you with us, sir. There is so much to learn from you. Thank you for giving us your invaluable time, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Upadhyay, Charulata, Ninad, Mr. Som to be there. Thank you.
Yes.